Hello and welcome to another analysis behind the news, where we provide the perspective that you can use to help save American liberty and independence. Today we have 3 action items for you, so please stay tuned. An article published last week on Quartz.com gave an explosive look at the large mistake economists have made over the last few decades when determining manufacturing output. The article stated, but it turns out that Trump's story of U.S. manufacturing decline was much closer to being right than the story of progress being spun in Washington, New York, and Cambridge. Thanks to a painstaking analysis by a handful of economists, it's become clear that the data that underpin the dominant narrative, or more precisely, the way most economists interpreted the data, were way off base. Foreign competition, not automation, was behind the stunning loss in factory jobs. And that means America's manufacturing sector is in far worse shape than the media, politicians, and even most academics realize. They made reference to Trump's political campaign rhetoric, of which pointed to the Trans-Pacific Partnership and NAFTA and others as bad deals for America. The article points out that the worst decade in U.S. manufacturing history was from 2000 to 2010. Nearly 6 million American factory workers lost their jobs. Yet statistics continue to point to the fact that the number of products manufactured appeared to increase. The article states that the erroneous conclusion economists pointed to was that automation and increased productivity were to account for the increase. It points out that in 2011, an economist specializing in globalization at the Upjohn Institute found that an error in how computer manufacturing was calculated was disguising the true nature of American manufacturing. In stripping out the computer data, we see that manufacturing output expanded by only 0.2% in the 2000 to 2010 decade. And by 2016, the output was much lower than it was in 2007. As the article puts it, which means that the apparently robust growth in manufacturing productivity is mostly a mirage. Now let's also remember what happened during this time. China was allowed into the World Trade Organization in 2001 with the support of U.S. leaders. The article points to studies that estimate as many as 2.4 million American jobs were lost due to cheap imports from China. The article states, why did China have such a big impact? In their 2016 study, economists Justin Pierce and Peter Schott argue that China's ascension to the WTO in 2001, set in motion by President Bill Clinton, sparked a sharp drop in U.S. manufacturing employment. That's because when China joined the WTO, it extinguished the risk that the U.S. might retaliate against the Chinese government's mercantilist currency and protectionist industrial policies by raising tariffs. International companies that set up shop in China, therefore, enjoyed the benefits of cheap labor, as well as a huge competitive edge from the Chinese government's artificial cheapening of the yuan. Now, they write in their conclusion, 2 decades of ill-founded policymaking radically restructured the U.S. economy and reshuffled the social order too. The America that resulted is more unequal and more polarized than it has been in decades, if not nearly a century. In effect, U.S. policymakers put diplomacy before industrial development at home, offering the massive American consumer market as a carrot to encourage other countries to open up their economies to multinational investment. Then, thanks to the popular narrative that automation was responsible for job losses in manufacturing, American leaders tended to dismiss the threat of foreign competition to a thriving manufacturing industry and minimize its importance to the overall health of the U.S. economy. Their conclusion is basically that due to the poor decision-making of America's leaders, chickens have come home to roost. However, knowing what we do about the globalist agenda, So let's look at this from a perspective of not ignorance nor apathy, but by design. To achieve a new global order, countries must be able to be integrated, which means that borders must not be enforced, government must provide more and more for the people, state and federal governments must give way to regional government, and then even more layers of heavy government placed onto top of that, onto countries from a world governing body. With that in mind, ask yourself, what is the purpose of these trade agreements like NAFTA, TPP, TTIP, and a whole host of other ones? Let us answer with one word: entanglements. These entangling alliances only condition the American public into thinking that we need these agreements to compete in a global economy, that we should think globally and act accordingly. Yet these entangling alliances do nothing more than sweep away American sovereignty, independence, and our liberties. So action item number 1. Read The Free Trade Agenda Threatens Our Rights from the New American magazine. It's free and posted online. We'll put a description in, or a video link in the description. And then please share that with others. Action item number 2. Let Congress and President Trump know they need to get out of NAFTA, TPP, TTIP, and any and all of those proposed alphabet soup agreements. We'll also have a link to the pre-written email, and please be sure to call as well. And action item number 3, consider putting your time, talent, and skills to work in saving our precious American heritage. Join the John Birch Society today at jbs.org. No other organization knows the problem in its entirety. The JBS is the only organization with the tools and the solution for stopping the globalist agenda and preserving our American heritage. And if you could, please like and share this video with others. And so until next time, we'll see you then.